I'm the Global Product Manager for Philips Dynalite's Network Lighting Control Systems. My role within the organisation is to talk to the marketplace about their expectations of the network lighting control system and turn that into feature sets that we can develop products for. I've been asked to give this webinar, and the subject that I've chosen is how it is network lighting control systems can add value to projects. I'm going to focus on the office, hotel and retail segments, as this is a huge focus for Philips. I'm going to try to keep this presentation as non-technical as possible and more go through about what is possible through the features and functions of a lighting control system and how they can add value to these different segments. For this, I'm going to be using a lot of animation, so I'm sharing my screen here because I believe that a lighting control system is something dynamic. It is not something I can put onto a table and say, this is a lighting control system and expect people to see the value. It is what a lighting control system does that our customers see the most value in. I'll be stepping through how it is that we can then be delivering these solutions to our customer and then backing this up with some case studies. At the end of this presentation, I will be taking questions, so please feel free to write them down, and then at the end of the presentation, I hope to address them. I always like to start off a presentation by asking a very simple question about what is lighting control. Most people outside of our industry, when asked this question, will simply point to something like this, a typical stationary wall panel of which people interact with, and a single lighting group will respond. Other examples of lighting control would certainly be a rotary pot dimmer. And to be perfectly honest, these are fine examples of standalone lighting control. The problem with these sorts of standalone systems comes into play when we take a look about how they can be applied to a project. On the screen now are two boardrooms. Each boardroom has 4 lighting groups, and each boardroom also has 2 entry points. The single line diagram below shows what needs to be wired together to actually achieve the control within these 2 boardrooms. With projects now, they're becoming more granular with the lighting control. More lighting groups are being added to within a space, and also the lighting themselves is becoming more feature-rich as we're moving into warm, cool white balancing and even full color balancing, full color choices within an area. This presents a huge problem with for our customers, as they now need to actually go through how it is that they manage all of these different features and functions that lighting now provides. With a networked lighting control system, we're able to deliver these different features and benefits that Philips has developed through its luminaire package to our customers at the press of a single button. All of the complexity about how the luminaires were wired back to the controllers and how that the users interact with the luminaires has been simplified from the use of a lighting control system. A press of a single button within a network lighting control system can send out a myriad of messages that will coordinate the lighting and set the area to the end user's requirements. This is the power of network lighting control, the ability to deliver the features and functions of the modern luminaires to the end users without bombarding them with the complexity. The way that we add value to the office segments, we can break it down into 3 areas: energy management, occupancy comfort, monitor and asset management. One of the biggest focus we've had for the last 10 years has certainly been energy management. And through the mixture use of scheduling and presence detection, we're able to achieve a majority of these goals. So with scheduling, we can simply turn the lighting on and off when they are moving between trading and after hours. And then with presence detectors, we can then make sure for the finer control, shutting down areas of which are no longer being used. This is also an area where we are actually able to introduce more features, as we can have the scheduling affect the timeout on those sensors, so that when motion sensors are set for after hours, they will have a very aggressive energy management strategy and only be set for 5 minutes, and therefore not constantly triggered by security and cleaning staff. But then during trading hours, we can extend that timeout by a network message instructing the sensors to have a 45-minute timeout, so they're not being disruptive to the occupants within the space. Added to this is the occupancy comfort, so that the lighting control system, as much as it's trying to achieve its primary goal of energy management, it's not being disruptive to the occupants and allowing them to be as productive and efficient as possible. Most HR departments will tell you that any 1% increase in occupants' productivity will easily outstrip any gains from efficiencies in energy management. So with occupancy comfort, it is becoming more into the warm and cool white colour balancing, as we're able to set people's biorhythms and make sure that in the morning they're exposed to an energising blue light, and then as we go closer into the afternoon, we can move into a more warm reddish light to actually allow people to feel more comfortable. This is more in tune with our natural biorhythms and what we should be exposed to throughout our day, and help our energy levels through the day. The monitoring and asset management tools that we are able to supply comes into play as we're able to monitor the actual luminaires themselves and report on any issues that may be arising through the site, rather than being dependent on staff to communicate back to facility managers if there's an issue. Often staff will simply tolerate a failed lamp just because it is too difficult to notify a facility that there is an issue. With the use of a network lighting control system, we're able to automatically monitor this and respond before anybody has realised that there is potentially an issue. I'm going to go through now how it is that we actually can achieve this. With this dashboard, we're looking at an overview of an office floor layout. So we can see across the bottom the different variables that are happening within the office. We have light temperature, a target lux level, the current sensor timeout, the area temperature through integration with a HVAC system, as well as the current lighting control system mode. We're going to start at the beginning of the day with the building startup. The light temperature is set at a very cool, and then we'll also adjust the target lux level and the sensor timeout to be more appropriate. The area temperature has also been adjusted for a more comfortable environment for the occupants. And this is the morning system runtime. But as we move across into the afternoon, the sun will actually come down and start to introduce a glare factor. And we can filter this out by using the blinds to actually make sure that we're not seeing direct glare coming in through the lights. We'll also adjust the target lux level so that it's more of a comfortable environment, and we'll also adjust the light temperature to moving towards a more warmer colour, so we're more in line with people's biorhythms. The sensor timeout and the area temperature have remained the same. As we move towards the evening, we'll open the blinds and adjust the target lux level for a contrast balancing feature set. So this is as the light outside drops down, we will match this with the interior light to drop down as well, as it's not necessary to keep the artificial lighting at 100%. Then as we move into after hours, we prepare to shut down the site, making sure that we're not leaving anybody in the dark. We will drop the sensor timeouts to 15 minutes before completely switching the lights off, and also indicating to the HVAC system that we now need to be running in a more of an economical mode. The floor is now completely shut down, and we're able to go through and say that there is no more energy being consumed on this particular floor. Once this is done, a system can then automatically go through and test the individual light fittings using the Dynalite protocol. This allows us to turn on each of the individual fittings, monitor its status. If there is an issue, it is then escalated to facility management in the morning. We can then save this as a report for ongoing performance of the system, of which can be archived for later reference. Emergency lighting at this time can also be tested. Then, back into the morning, the system will then automatically run through its status of building startup, and the different variables will then come back into play of the target light level temperature will be set cool, the target lux level will be adjusted, and the sensor timeout will be brought back to 45 minutes, so not to being disruptive to the workplace. All of this is being done together in conjunction because of the network lighting system is integrated to the various elements within the site. Another way that we can take a look at how a network lighting control system adds value is the aesthetics. So within the Philips range, we see the Daywave suspended luminaire, we have Color Kinetics co-fittings, we have the large luminaire surfaces, and we also have the Philips luminaires into the ceiling. And so that when the occupants need to drive all of these different elements, rather than having to interact with multiple user interfaces to turn on the lighting and adjust the levels, we simply have a single button that indicates what functionality they currently require, whether it be a meeting, a discussion, a presentation, or a demonstration of a product. The system will then align the different luminaires within the site to actually match their requirements. And then once the client is finished with the area, they can simply press a single button which will turn all of these different aspects off at the same time. This enables us to present to the users all of the features and benefits that Philips is able to offer in its luminaires into the press of a single button, simplifying the entire lighting experience. Looking overall at an office, there are many different aspects that need to be brought together, more than just a single office and meeting rooms. Within a building, we also find car parks, corridor circulation, and amenities. All of these areas are critical to the office functionality. Within this, we can orchestrate it so that when the open office areas and the single offices, we've detected that there are no more occupants, we can then go through and start to perform a shutdown of the circulation and amenities. This cascading shutdown ensures that not only are we being energy efficient, but we are being safe and not actually leaving anybody in the dark that they could then actually hurt themselves. Once we've detected that the entire office has been left, we can then go through and shut down other areas such as the car park, completely turning the building off, making sure that it's being run as energy efficient as possible. An example about how this has been achieved is a building here in Sydney called Westfield's headquarters. This was a complete Dynalite installation. It required a high-level integration to a BMS system for the HVAC control. All of the meeting rooms were integrated into an AMX AV system so that the end users did not have to interact with a lighting control system and an AV system and the air conditioning system. All they had to do was simply press one button and everything actually responded. Full daylight harvesting was brought into the project, so we're able to monitor the position of monitor the levels that were artificially being brought into the building, and then adjust the artificial lighting to compensate from there. Because of the combined effort of all of these different elements, we were able to achieve one of the highest energy ratings in Australia. We have had a long successful history of implementing lighting control systems into offices. Some of our biggest projects, PetroChina is our largest daily project in China. Other projects we've had success in is BBVA in Spain, which is again one of the largest projects we see in Europe using a DALI protocol. So a combination of this has been a demonstration how Philips is able to offer a superior lighting control systems into offices. For hotels, it is a very different market, but achieving very similar requirements. Dynalite has had a long history and strength in hotels, and so we have some really good features and examples about how it is that we can add value into a hotel system. We see primarily, again, people are looking for energy efficiency, but added to this segment is guest comfort. We're also looking at site flexibility, and this is a way of actually managing the staff. But from an energy efficiency perspective, we are back to monitoring and also, scheduling of the lighting control. So we're actually able to turn off the lights at a scheduled manner and also monitor the artificial daylight coming in and adjust the lighting accordingly. Paramount to any hotel project is guest comfort. The hotel is wanting to make sure that their guests feel comfortable within their environment, as this is important for their ongoing return business. Despite the fact that there are many features and functions within a room, the hotels are looking for a simplified way that all of this can be presented to their guests, and they're not bamboozled with various different options of which the guest needs to interact with just to drive their hotel suite. For site flexibility, we have the staff that will need to be managed to actually make sure that they're being used in the most efficient way. We need to be able to report back the different statuses of the rooms so that they can be orchestrated to be able to meet the demands of the guests. A network lighting control system can be utilised to send this information back to facility manager and to make sure that the entire operations is being run as efficiently as possible. Taking a look at a simple guest room, we're going to see the changing of the light temperature through the cove lighting above the bed. We'll also take a look at the room temperature and the current room status. When a room is unrented, we see that the current temperature has been set quite high. This would be uncomfortable for a guest, but we're allowed to actually put the room into an energy efficient. Know that it is not going to be occupied for some time. When the room moves into a rented status, we will adjust the thermostat so that it is ready for the guest to receive and they're not having to walk into an uncomfortable environment for the first time. Then, when the guest is inside the room in the morning mode, we will adjust the temperature to a much more comfortable 21 degrees. Because it is in the morning, we're going to maintain a lighting temperature of a cool blue colour, as our research has indicated that this is an energizing light and is one of the best ways that we can actually greet the day. As we move into the afternoon, we'll change the cove lighting to a warmer colour, and then in the evening, we'll go warmer again. The advantage that we have with the network lighting control system is that the automated response of the colour temperature. So rather than having multiple buttons of which the end user would have to navigate through, we will simply present a simple on button, and then the time-dependent response will come on as requested. This simplifies the user interfaces within the room, making it much simpler to drive the different features within the room. Within, we can also set the makeup room or do not disturb. Not only does this change the status indicator on the outside of the room, but also sends a message to the facility manager about the room's requirements or the guest's requests. We can set up alarms within the room, within the system, so that if a room has been set to makeup room for more than 4 hours, that we can set a priority for this room to be seen to by the cleaning staff. This allows for the facility managers to run their sites more efficiently and orchestrate their staff to meet the guest's comfort as fast as possible. Once the room has been returned to an unrented state through the booking system, the room temperature is then set back to an economical 25 degrees. This allows us to be able to orchestrate the room and make sure that it is always running as efficiently as possible throughout the entire project. So all rooms in this way would be done. Now looking at how a room's different scenes and the way that a guest would be seeing the room. So here we can see that cove lighting above the bed, and then the welcome scene for when a guest first walks in. Then in the afternoon, we would dim the lightings down as requested, and then eventually we would switch the lighting off. This is how we're able to go through and achieve scenes within the room and highlight, make the experience for the guest as comfortable as possible. There are many other areas within the hotel which also need to come under control. What we see here is the same ballroom of the Grand Hyatt Dubai. The ballroom is set up being for a cocktail and a conference centre, but to actually get to these different scenes, there are over 300 lighting groups that have been orchestrated together. A lighting architect has spent many hours adjusting these different levels to be able to achieve this scene. With a network lighting control system, we're able to protect the design integrity to make sure that the scene that has been commissioned in can be recalled at a single button press, and we're not dependent on the local staff to set 300 rotary pots to particular levels, and making sure that we're able to recall the designed intent. This allows for the system to focus on being able to deliver the lighting scenes and for the staff to be able to focus on the guests. We always find that hotels seem to be many functions running together, from external facade lighting, business centre, lobby entrance, outdoor lighting, car parks, swimming pools and restaurants. All of these different areas need to be managed together and reporting back to the facility manager about what their statuses are. So within a hotel, the network lighting control system is certainly being pushed to its limits of what can be achieved. But from the long history of Philips Dynalite, we have been able to successfully deliver multiple hotel projects around the world. This is a small selection of hotels that we've been involved in globally and successfully delivered around the world. One of our largest projects is the Burj Khalifa. currently the world's tallest building and is fitted out with quite easily one of the largest network lighting control systems in the world. Within this building, there are 7,000 multi-purpose control units, and they are receiving instructions from 14,000 user interfaces. All of these devices are being monitored from a centralized location from the Envision Manager software. For retail, we're looking at how it is that a retailer can be showing their goods in the best possible light. Again, it's very much focused on energy management, as this can be a huge cost contributing to the running of a store. One of the other requirements within the retail is the flexibility and for the store manager to be able to adjust the lighting as they go through different stock. We're able to do this through a series of products with the iPad, and so they're able to go through and adjust the lighting levels from the various scenes and then save this back to the scheduler so that they are automatically recalled. Another request that has been common is the site monitoring, and so that from a remote location we can monitor what's happening on the different sites and report this back to facility manager or headquarters. This project here used a combination of warm and cool lighting so that the client is able to go through and adjust the lighting levels to be able to meet or to match the different furniture that they had installed. They also host events in this store, and so they were able to turn around and shut different areas off by turning off the lights and creating a different mood within the site. This, because of the different lighting groups and the different color temperatures, this would have been very difficult to manage for a typical standalone system, but because of the ability of a network lighting control system, we're able to orchestrate these different lighting groups to be able to achieve various effects within the area and being able to show the retailers' goods in the best possible light. An example of this would be the Westfield's White City. This is the UK's largest shopping centre. There is extensive lighting control throughout the entire shopping mall, and one of the goals of the shopping mall was to combat online purchasing. By doing this, they required to build a vivid environment of which people felt energised, and so there was a colour-changing theme running through the entire site. On top of this, they wanted to make sure that the system ran as energy efficient as possible, and so with it, the skylights were able to monitor the available natural sunlight in London and adjust the lighting output to be able to have daylight compensation where possible. So with this particular site, we're doing both a combination of an aesthetically pleasing environment that is constantly changing and also being able to balance this with correct energy management. We find ourselves very successful in the three previous segments, but we're also very active in various other areas such as airports, sporting stadiums, racecourses, casinos, and residential applications. So it is the exact same devices that are being used within each of these different segments, but being used in different combinations and also the way that they are configured to meet the requirements of these different projects. So the components of the system, we see 4 sensor ranges, 4 user interface ranges, 30 different load controllers, and 15 integration devices, combined with 2 software packages. These devices are all that's required to bring together to actually build a network lighting control system. You can almost think of them as different Lego blocks which click in together to be able to build a system to meet the requirements of a project. The scalability of the system is practically limitless. As what we saw with the Burj Khalifa, we're able to go through using our network gateways to build subsystems, of which then go through and then can build much larger systems. So a combination of any devices put together can be used to meet the desired functionality of a project. To help understand what's possible, we've created a range of documents which go through about the different segment focused. So if we want to take a look at residential, hotel or office, we have a brochure which will go through and detail the different functionalities that are possible in using a network lighting control system, as well as product focused brochures which tunnel into the different features and functions of the individual projects. Then to help people understand how it is that to put together the different product combinations and configure them, we've also developed a range of brochures which go through about how to configure the devices, install them, and to even do system design courses. So with all of this information, it should be available and therefore easier to actually design a system to meet your client's requirements. That's my presentation, guys. So if you have any questions, please let me know.